You like that?
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump right into it because it's not all good news, and we got to get this first one out of the way because, dude, Prodigy of Mobb Deep.
Prodigy of Mobb Deep, man. And this is, as a hip hop fan, this one hurt a lot. I mean, he was only, was it 46?
42.
42,
yeah, wow.
Even worse. Yeah, he's a little bit younger. And being a young hip hop fan and listening to the Infamous for the first time, it was one of those experiences like, wow, this is like way out of my league because I can't, this is like the real authentic street hip hop type stuff. But I was like such a big fan when I was a kid. And then that whole beef with Tupac, and Tupac blasted him on the album too.
Mm-hmm. That was a whole big thing that not everyone really knows about. Like
right.
Everyone knows, it was Biggie versus Tupac, but that stuff spanned like all of the East Coast versus all of the West Coast.
Yeah, and Mobb Deep was right there in the middle of it. Of course, Mobb Deep and Havoc formed,
Prodigy and Havoc.
Prodigy and Havoc, sorry.
Formed
Mobb Deep.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he passed away due to complications of sickle cell anemia, which he's had his entire life. Yeah. And actually, Tupac said something. He's like, "Which one of you guys got sickle cell or anything?"
Well, that's one of the major things. Like Tupac was throwing low blows, and one of the things you don't talk about a man's wife, you don't talk about someone's children, and you don't talk about someone's potentially terminal disease.
Right.
And he went in on it.
Yeah, but that's how it was then, But like I said, the Infamous, that album is just an iconic album for not just East Coast hip hop, but hip hop period.
Yes, it was.
So many good songs on that. Nas was featured on that. It was part of the big Queensbridge group with Nas, Capone and Noriega, Mobb Deep.
You want to know something trippy? They were they formed that group when they were like 16.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe younger. Like they were young kids.
Yeah,
they were on posters and stuff.
They were
children.
I mean, they were like kind of art students. Like they benefited from like art programs in schools and everything like that, and they put that into. I think they were in a group before this called Poetical. Do you remember? Poetical something or other. That was their group.
No, I keep thinking of Prince Poetry and From Launch.
No, this was just both of them, Prodigy and Havoc. But then when Mobb Deep formed and the Infamous came out, that was like the grimiest album ever.
Oh, yeah.
Like super grimy. They
G.O.D.
Mm-hmm.
the part. Oh, hold on. Wait. I'm gonna call you Dunn for the rest of the episode. What's good, Dunn? I'll speak the Dunn language. These are random tidbits from the songs, and if you know Mobb Deep, you'll pick up on the references. They pretty much changed the whole effect of the movie Scarface for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like every random scene background theme somehow found its way into a Mobb Deep track.
Right.
And they made it work. They made it so damn funky.
Yeah, and like I said, it was just super grimy, super like hardcore stuff. Survival of the Fittest, one of my favorite tracks. I think some of the production on the album was so perfect. It was so good, very simple and just very East Coast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It had that. It was like not like flashy, but it was like very, like I said, I can't just stress this enough. Grimy. It was very good. But then he did a lot of other stuff too. He wrote a book that came out, I think it was like 2011 around that time.
He just did some music for one of my friends. Cynthia Von Bueller has a cool event out near New York called the Illuminati Ball, and he recently worked on some music for that.
Oh,
yep.
Wow, okay. Didn't realize we had a personal connection in the room.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've never attended this event. I just know of it.
Hey,
but
second degree is okay with me.
Yep,
that counts.
I am only 1 degree away.
Yeah, there you go.
But
but just something cool, like saying that he's been working on projects very recently. Like this is something that he was right up to the.
The thing is too, he was touring. I think he was like they were doing shows like the week before he died. Like they were out there. Like the last picture of them, it was like him and Havoc. And Ghostface and Raekwon.
Yeah, he was
like they were all doing this big like hip hop kind of festival type touring festival thing.
It kills me,
the Art of Rap, I believe it was, and yeah, so it was just very sudden. You know what I mean? He's in and out of feeling bad. You know what I mean? It was like it would flare up, and every once in a while, and he was sick, but he always kind of pulled through. So this was kind of like
a smart dude, man. He had chops. You were actually starting to mention. He wrote a book.
He wrote a book.
Not just any book.
Yeah, it was like kind of. Well, he wrote his autobiography, and like a lot of that stuff, features some. It explores all the beefs that happened, with all these famous people. One of my favorite parts of the book, he's talking about, because I'm a big Capone and Noriega fan, another Queensbridge group, and the time that he beat up Noriega, and then Noriega and his boys shot somebody that was with Prodigy in the car, and then that started this whole feud there. And like, if you're into this type of stuff, if you're into like the history of hip hop and beefs like that, it's a fascinating read to hear about it. And then I know Noriega put something out on Instagram saying like they squashed their beef years ago, but he's like I just talked to him 3 days ago. You know what I mean? And like he was always game for whatever. He was like super, I guess, a really nice person, very intelligent.
That's messed up, man. It comes like at like it. There's never any warning.
Right.
You know, it can literally just be like the next day.
It's the thing. It's like even though he was sick, it's like you just like Prodigy's dead. Like really? Like wow. You know what I mean? And instantly a group that's that big, you just go through like the first time you heard him. I know that's what I did, and you're thinking of like when you were listening to him, it puts that right in that time and place. You know what I mean? So like he had obviously his stuff with Mobb Deep, but he did HNIC, his solo album, a couple of those. He did a good project with The Alchemist too. Did an album called Albert Einstein, which is really, really good as well. If you like The Alchemist is like a legendary producer.
Yes, he is.
And they've been doing stuff, working together a lot. So there's a lot of music.
Let's not forget one of the most important things that I think should be noted about Prodigy. You mentioned his autobiography. His other book was the prison cookbook.
Oh, man.
Oh, right.
Man.
Meals you can make with nothing but things that are offered in prison.
Yes.
Wow.
That it's like you can make like a souffle out of like ramen noodles or something. You know what I mean? Like it's
my personal favorite was the dang it, what was it? It was something au gratin or like mac and cheese. Using Doritos, like crushed up Doritos as the cheese.
Whoa.
It's pretty interesting what you can scrape together, you know what I mean, to spice it up a little bit when you're like not living with much, especially if you're in prison, like what you get in your commissary, you know, what you can buy. And then I think there was something attached to that too. It's like it had like certain prisons offer different things.
Yes.
And so he's like, what you can get based on what prison you go to, so you can mix and match. It's fascinating stuff.
And he was talking about have people send you certain ingredients. They can send you a certain amount, like a certain amount of food, like pound wise.
Right.
So have them send you your ingredients, and you can just like chef up all types of meals that aren't available in the calf.
Yeah. Imagine that make you a popular guy in prison too. If you have all those,
right?
You have the cookbook, you know what I mean, and you're resourceful enough to get all that stuff together. Probably make you a pretty popular guy.
What are we making today?
Probably buy you some friends.
Bourguignon.
Some ratatouille.
Julia Child's recipe.
Yeah, exactly. But man, yeah, like it came out of nowhere, and like I was such a big fan of his. I was such a big fan of that whole scene. Like Nas is my favorite rapper, period, and they did a bunch of stuff together. I mean, they had a little beef as well, I think too.
They did, but a lot of them fought a lot.
Yeah, I think over time, inevitably everybody kind of beefs.
Yeah, I think it was Prodigy was on Cormega's track, and Cormega dissed Nas at the time, so Nas kind of called him out. He's like, "Get these snakes away from you," you know what I mean? Do your own thing, blah blah like that. So it was
trust. And I also don't want to neglect my favorite track from Mobb Deep.
What you got?
It's the real hip hop. Quiet Storm, dude. This track like made my freshman year in college.
You see, exactly. Everyone has that one.
And they brought out other cats too. I remember I wouldn't know who Vita was if it wasn't for Mobb Deep and that crappy track they did. Back then.
But he was like
I'm sorry. What was that? It's the real what? I'm sorry.
But he was one of those guys as well, just as an MC, strictly as an MC. It was like nothing flashy, just very straightforward, kind of hit you in the chest. And it was just like he just blew you away with like how real and authentic he was and how he sounded, and you believed him. You know what I mean? He wasn't the most gifted, but like his rhymes were great.
Yeah, no, he was very lyrical. Like his lexicon was solid. That's one of the things I definitely respect.
Yeah.
And the thing is, sometimes it wasn't always on point, but between like the kind of like shoddy, cheap rhymes, that's an easy one to go for. He would like say some real stuff,
right?
And I mean, Havoc was just like the perfect producer to combine that lyrical quality, and make it memorable.
Yeah,
music to this day, like I still have. I just played one that was off my own personal collection,
right out of your phone.
I still have these things in
you were ready.
rotation.
Yeah, I mean, and it was like you believed him, you know what I mean? Because these are guys that lived everything they rapped about. You know what I mean? When they're talking about the streets, when they're talking about being, involved in all this stuff, they really were. That stuff really happened. It's documented, and everyone will attest to that. And I know, I think was the BET Awards last night. I think a bunch of people were kind of.
They showed on Comedy Central for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, I turned to it. I'm like, okay, let's watch some South Park reruns.
And it's the BET Awards, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
straight bottom of the barrel.
I wonder what social commentary they're trying to make.
I think Master P came out. He's like, I'm not even going to go in because they changed it up. He's like, and he made a good point, Master P, saying he's like, we don't honor these guys enough while they're alive, but once they pass and everyone all of a sudden they're the greatest thing ever, and everyone remembers. He's like, this guy probably couldn't do as many shows as he wanted to because he couldn't book anything because no one wanted to hear it. But now he's like the biggest thing ever. It's like we need to start honoring and recognizing these people and respecting them more when they're actually alive because it doesn't know good when they're dead. And I happen to agree with that a lot. It's like, everyone was big on Prince and Michael Jackson and stuff that's like that, but when they pass, and it's just like this whole thing, which it should be, but it's just like you need to really.
Artists are underappreciated in general.
Right.
And
I think it's only getting worse, too.
Oh, definitely. Well, I think there's also more obscurity.
Yeah.
In music, like
you're not getting it all from one place anymore. You know what I mean? Everyone's so
which is a very good thing for us as fans. But when you lose somebody who's made a legit contribution, and you may not hear about it right away, you may not, know their music. You may discover their music after they've already passed. That's how I found Elliott Smith.
Yeah, I did too. Actually, I did. It was even after the Good Will Hunting movie. I was like, who's this? Man, he's deep. And it's like,
dig this. You want to find out an old reference? I heard Son of Samson off of an old. Do you remember a college music journal? That old magazine that nobody bought?
Yes.
Yeah, they used to give free,
not that I ever
free CDs. Well, I just took we always just took a bunch when I worked at Strawberries years ago.
Yeah, back when they used to have music stores and stuff that were big.
Yeah. And a few years after that, just going through my random CDs that I've never listened to and seeing kind of gems I've missed out on. Son of Samson right there.
Well, yeah.
So hopefully somewhere out there, someone who's never heard Mobb Deep.
Well, that's all you can hope for after they pass. You know what I mean? Everyone making a big deal of it. I think the one good thing is that people are like, oh, wow, he was that influential. He was that big. Maybe it'll inspire some, young kids that don't really listen to, certain kinds of hip hop to get into that stuff. You know what I mean? If they're all they're listening to. What you got? What's this?
You turn it right there.
Oh, there you go.
They know who's never heard this. This song helped expose me. She blinded me with science. Put a whole new light on.
There you go. How many more you got on there?
Yo, man, I got two. Oh, don't get me started.
Yeah, we won't.
We'll be here all night.
Right. Yeah.
All right, but no, we're talking about Albert Johnson, a.k.a. Prodigy of Mobb Deep. Dude, he was influenced. Was he influenced you, Dunn?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know, like personally influenced, but man, did I love his music, man. And like, I'm such a big Queensbridge, East Coast hip hop guy.
Dude,
he was the center of that.
There were some of the lesser known. I almost say forgotten, but lesser known pioneers of that style.
Yeah,
I remember
very
an
underappreciated
old poster I had,
later on. Yeah,
definitely an old poster I had of him and Havoc, his cartoons. And it's just them, like they were kids back then.
They were.
And the cartoons are just these small, Seabear and Jamal looking characters, and they both got sickles and they're just there, dapping each other up and looking at the camera like, damn, okay, what is this?
Yeah, they were a little scary, you know what I mean? And I think that's what attracted me to them early too. And I was like, I'm kind of like.
You were rocking your Champion hoodie back then?
Yep, with a big, gold rope. Exactly.
Oh, not that far back.
No.
All right.
But
make some references here, but Prodigy. Dude was an influence, man.
Yeah, he was huge.
I wish him, rest in peace.
Absolutely.
All right, and that's not the only going away.
Yeah, interesting news here. I think we're gonna transition to
your homeboy DDL.